This creamy smoked mac and cheese recipe is the most popular recipe that I have. So many of you have tried it, I just had to make a video of it. I wanted to walk you through the steps, show you how to customize with all the different flavors, maybe kick it up with some diced chilies or bacon. While I eat this plate, you guys go check out the recipe. I promise you this is one of the best smoked mac and cheese recipes that you're gonna try. All right, let's talk about cheese, specifically the choices of cheese. Now, you probably noticed that I don't use Velveeta. It's just personal preference. I'm not against Velveeta, but for this recipe, I wanted to have one that doesn't have it. There's a lot of people out there that don't care for American cheese or Velveeta and that texture that it brings in your mac. No judgment though, you do you. But today we're gonna be talking about the types of cheese that you'll wanna use for this recipe. And there's really two main categories. There's gonna be a foundational flavor. What I mean by that is kind of the prominent flavor that's going on here with usually a more hard cheese, such as a sharp cheddar. This is actually a Gouda. Other cheeses that would be great would be Gruyere, could use a white cheddar, anything that's typically a little bit harder, but it's got a really nice strong flavor. I know Gouda is a little bit on the melty side too, which is category number 2. We wanna have a melty cheese. So foundational flavor and then a melty cheese. So I've got over here pepper jack. You can also use regular Monterey Jack. You could use Havarti cheese. You could use mozzarella, even brie. And you want a combination of these different flavors. I split it up into 3. So I've got 2 cups of cheddar, 2 cups of Gouda. This is actually a Chipotle Gouda, so it's gonna be nice and spicy. And then I've got 2 cups of pepper jack. So in the recipe, you've got 6 total cups. So divide it up however you want. I'd recommend at least minimum 2 cups of a melty cheese, regardless of what you do. Now at the very end, if you wanna add like a cheese topping to the mac and cheese and pop it in the broiler, you're gonna need more than 6 cups. The 6 cups here is for the cheese sauce. So let's go make that sauce. And to keep it easy, I'm gonna go ahead and dump all these cheeses together so that I can make the sauce and not spill more cheese everywhere. So bear with me. All right, so I've got a wide bottom pan here and we're gonna start building a roux. So that is gonna be a combo of butter and flour. So let's get that butter melted real quick. And this pan's hot, so I'm gonna turn it down just a little bit. So what we're gonna do is whisk in the butter. All right, so this is 1 stick of unsalted butter, which is a half of a cup. And I just cut it into slivers, hoping that it melts a little faster. All right, so now that the butter's melted, we're gonna whisk in the flour. I wanna show you, I'm gonna be using a gravy whisk, which really helps break up that flour and the butter into a roux. You can use a normal whisk as well. This is better for the cheese sauce. Anyway, we've got 1/2 cup of butter and then 1/2 cup of flour. Yeah, I'm gonna whisk this in, and this is really gonna be the base of our cheese sauce. And we wanna cook out the raw flour flavor. If you really wanna develop this flavor more, you could cook it for a few more minutes until it gets nice and dark. You'll just wanna make sure it stays in a low temperature so it doesn't burn. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna add in the liquid, which is milk and cream. Now what this is, I'm gonna pour this in slowly. This is 2 cups of milk and 2 cups of heavy cream that I have warmed on the stove. I'm just gonna add a little bit of it at a time, whisking until you can see it starts to thicken up just like this. And then you just wanna keep adding liquid and mixing until all of this comes together in a nice smooth sauce. And I know it sounds crazy, or I should say looks crazy because it's so thick, but trust me, it'll come together in the end. Just gotta mix everything together. You can see I switched to a regular whisk. It's a little bit easier now that the butter and the flour's all mixed together. The sauce gets kind of thick and heavy, so. All right, I'm gonna pour the rest in here and we'll see the sauce come together. On occasion, you may need to scrape down the sides just to make sure everything gets in here. Lump-free is the way to be. All right, so here what we're gonna do is start to add our flavors. So what we'll do is I'm gonna add a little bit of Dijon mustard. So if you want, you can add about a tablespoon of that. On my website, it says mustard powder. You can use that too. It just depends on what you have. I like to add some seasoning here too. I'm gonna be adding about 2 tablespoons of my Sedona sand, which is a sugar-free barbecue seasoning. It's got some great chili flavors in here. Add whatever flavors that you want. If you want to have a sugary barbecue seasoning, add that. I'm going for a Southwest profile today, so. And it's really important that you keep this at low, because if you have this at high and you start to see the cheese sauce simmering, it may break on you, which means it'll get all clumpy. So keep it very low, below 200 degrees. I'd even recommend about 170 to 180 for those nerds like me. So let's go ahead and start adding in some of the cheese, and we'll whisk this in slowly so it doesn't drop the temperature too much. This is my favorite part because everything just really comes together. Plus it just smells so damn good. And just remember that the cheese itself is pretty salty, which is why I used unsalted butter. So I do recommend that you stick with that for the recipe. I just turned the temperature up on my burner a little bit because as I was putting the cheese in, it did drop the temp a little bit, but you can start to see it's coming together. We're getting close. I'm gonna add some more and then just repeat this until it's all in here. We'll talk about the fun next step. So while I'm whisking this, some common questions I get would be, do I have to use heavy cream? No, although it does produce the best sauce. You can use half and half. I do recommend at least a 2% milk, if not whole milk as well. And no, you cannot use milk substitutes. For this recipe, it's gotta be dairy. All right, so you can see my temperature dropped quite a bit, so I just had to turn the burner up again. I like it to be closer to like 160, 170. All right, so I've got about a half cup, maybe more, of some hatch chilies I have left over. You should watch my hatch chili series if you haven't checked that out. And just stir that in, kick up the heat a little bit. And then bacon, because why not? I've got about 6 strips right here. We're just gonna go ahead and give that a stir, get that in here too. I've killed the heat. I don't wanna cook this stuff anymore, just wanna keep it warm. Let's get this transferred to the mac. All right, so I have got a foil pan with a pound of macaroni. This is cooked al dente. And we're gonna go ahead and pour our cheese sauce all in here. Oh my gosh, that looks so good. Don't do what I did and just get it all over the handle. Come on, people, be better. Now, you can technically just sit here and eat this. I mean, this would be freaking delicious, but we are gonna smoke it, so there are a few things to consider to kind of enhance this dish even further. All right, now I am actually gonna taste this. This is a clean spoon, don't worry. I wanna know, make sure it's seasoned correctly. Besides, I just love mac and cheese. Wow, that's got a kick to it. That's gonna be really, really good. I'm very excited about that. Make sure that you've salted the pasta water so that everything is properly seasoned. That way, like I said, you don't have to use the salted butter. If you want this extra smoky, smoke it at 200 degrees for about an hour. If you're okay on medium smoky, I like to cook mine at about 250 degrees for about 45 minutes to an hour. Just kind of depends how the top is going. Do not go above 250 because what'll happen is it starts to really bake the mac and cheese. You'll lose that creamy sauce and it starts to get almost into the form where you kind of have to cut it. I mean, it'll still taste really good, but you'll lose some of that creaminess. And then I'm putting about another cup or so of extra cheese that I sprinkle just on the top. Some people like to fold more cheese in the middle as they're doing that to get more of a cheese pull. That's how you see that on like Instagram and all that stuff, where those crazy mac and cheeses, they fold some more melty cheese right in the middle. You can put a crumbled topping of panko, you can do bacon, whatever you want. You can put that in under the broiler in the oven. The possibilities are endless, but what I am gonna say is you wanna smoke this kind of low for at least about 45 minutes to an hour. And that's what we're gonna go do. I'm gonna go ahead and put this on. I've got my smoker running at 250, so I'm gonna throw it in there and I'm gonna freaking eat. All right, so let's go ahead, get this in the smoker. This is the hottest part, so I'm gonna have it over here just a little bit. 250, we'll check on it in about, let's say 40 minutes or so. All right, it's that time. Ooh, that's looking good. Nice and creamy. You can see on the edges here too. That's exactly what we want. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop this in the broiler so we can get the top of this nice and crispy, and we're good to go. All right, here we go. Woohoo, that looks good. Got some nice crispy bits from broiling. I can't wait to dig into this. Shall we? Ooh, that's a good sound. Oh man, that looks great. That's what I want. Check that out. The perfect bite. Well, a couple bites. I would eat out of the dish, but I don't want to be an animal. Oh man, that looks so good. Is that enough for one serving? Sure. Side dish, whatever. This is totally a meal. I mean, there are chilies and bacon in here too, so it's pretty complete. Got some fruit, got some meat. All right, time to eat. Wow. I love that crispy top just from that broiled finish, but man, it picked up all the smoke flavor. Plus, of course, you've got the bacon, there's roasted hot chilies in there, so that definitely builds on it, but it's so creamy and the pasta's just cooked perfectly. I can't cook this very often at home. I would definitely be fat. Doesn't stop me today. You guys are gonna love this recipe, and I hope that you like and subscribe. Don't forget, and we'll see you guys next time. Cheers. So good.